Hi guys, and welcome to week 1 of this 10-week beginner gymnastics strength and conditioning course. The idea behind these instructional videos is just to go through each and every session and just give you a heads up and a walk through every section of the program and just provide you a bit of an overview of what to expect, how to tackle it, what you'll need, and just some technique and cues that will help you along the way. So what you need to do is, once you're inside this portal for the course, is just go and download week 1 PDF. So you'll come along here, take it to the screen, download the file, which is really convenient. I've done it this way so you can take that workout on file into the gym, whether it's on your phone or it's on your tablet, or you've downloaded it to your laptop. So you'll take that over and we'll go through it. So week 1, what's week 1 all about? What we're doing here, this is our most basic session, and we're really just laying out the foundations and building up the basics very slowly. So we're taking you through some very simple and basic positions, and when I say simple, these are absolute key positional holds, like the hollow hold and the back arch hold and the front support hold, and then some of the basic straight arm holds like planche leans and one arm planks. And then we have a little finisher at the end where we're doing some isometric holds on the rings and in a hanging tuck position. So these workouts and holds are very basic, but the way they are structured will certainly challenge you. It doesn't matter how strong you are. Doesn't matter how good you are. If I'm going to do this work, and I'm someone that's been doing gymnastics for 25 years, since I was 7 years old, competed at the highest level, this is going to challenge myself as well. I'm certainly going to feel some of this core work, and it's just a real refresher to just click on every video and take the time to go through the technique. Just listen to what I say in terms of progression wise, scaling it if it's too hard, and making sure you tackle things correctly to begin with. So every week starts with a general warm-up. Now I put this here, it's generic. It does change a little bit depending on the session, but it's just there in case, if you've got a better warm-up, go for it. So A1 will always be the same, and we've just got some various rows running and high knees and hopping and different things. If you've got some space, you can just go up and back and doing some rows. And then there's some animal walks, which are always a really good way to just get the coordination going and open up for doing, camel walks, hamstring pulses, crab walks, bear walks, all that sort of stuff. So that's a good way to just an active style of warm-up. And then we go into a mobility and stretch flow. Then we move to part B, which is a core conditioning set. We're going to complete 4 rounds of the following. We've got a hollow hold, or also known as a dish hold. And you can do this with your legs tucked, being the most basic of the progressions, or you can straighten your legs out and have your arms beside your hips. Or the hardest progression here is having your legs extended and your arms behind your head. We're going to pair that hollow hold with a back arch hold. So on your stomach and having your arms out extended in front of you and your feet off the ground. Now the biggest thing that happens here, the biggest area where people go wrong, is their legs are apart and their knees are bent. So it's really important. Try and put something between your feet. This is a really important position, especially those that want to take these basic positions onto the bar and do various skills like bar muscle ups and kipping pull-ups and all that sort of stuff. We don't want legs flying apart, and it's amazing how much it gets your hamstrings and your adductors and everything else when you actually are squeezing your heels together. So have your arms up, something squeezing between your feet when you do this. So we start with a 45-second hollow hold, and then we move into a 15-second back arch. Rest as you need, but keep it to a minimum. The idea is to roll straight on to the next round, which will be 35-second hollow hold and a 25-second back arch hold. Straight into the third round of a 25-second hollow hold, 35-second back arch hold, and then we finish with a 15-second hollow hold and a 45-second arch hold. So very basic workout, but keep it moving if you find it fairly straightforward, and really challenge yourself on this hollow hold. Push that back, that lower back into the floor as hard as you can, and make sure the shoulders are up. Go in and watch the video. I do explain a couple of really important cues.
All right, hollow hold. What we're going to do here is go into a full hollow hold to start, and then we'll work out a couple of the cues and regressions if this hollow hold is not quite up to the strength that you're capable of. So you're going to come onto your back, full hollow hold, also known as a dish hold. You'll notice Sammy, if I put my hand under her lower back, under here there's no gap at all. Her feet are about 30 degrees off the floor, shoulders are up, arms behind head. Now if this starts to get too tough, you're arching or you're starting to basically give way, I want you to bring your hands beside your hips and keep those shoulders up. Yep. So don't come too high up like this. Keep nice and low. Now, the most beginner progression for a dish hold, tucking your knees, hands to the side, and really getting those shoulders up. So you could hold this for 60 seconds, even if you've got a full dish hold, and this is still going to be a challenging movement. Shoulders up and pushing that lower back nice and flat.
So you can see there, very, very simply laid out the 3 progressions. So if you're someone that does it with their lower back coming off, or your shoulders are down, or you're not feeling like it's challenging enough, then you need to regress, because it's probably a position that's just a little bit tough for you. But if you go into that tuck, I guarantee you that you're going to be feeling those abs. I mean, I do it myself, and really push that lower back into the floor and bring those shoulders up. You're going to feel some serious contraction going on there. So watch the video and go through and make sure that you are doing the correct technique in that position. So part C is we've got some straight arm planche basics. You can complete 2 to 3 rounds here depending on how you feel. We're going to start with some wrist curls. So wrist curls are just some weighted mobility exercises where you'll take a dumbbell, find a bench, and just make sure you're going up and down in the various positions. Watch the video as prescribed. Make sure that your forearm isn't leaving the box. But with all of this, it's really important in gymnastics that we are spending a lot of time on our wrist. It might be handstands, support work, planche, on the rings, on the bar, and those wrists are taking a lot of our weight. So really look after your wrist, and that's why we do prescribe quite a lot of wrist mobility exercises. And that's something that I've found myself through doing lots of classes and workshops in the adult fitness population, that just a lot of people don't know how to look after their wrist, and they've not really been educated in why that would be important. So wrist health and wrist mobility is really key to make sure that you can get longevity and not get yourself in pain and hold yourself back from doing some really cool and fun exercises. The front support hold. Now, this is an interesting one. This is the most basic as it gets in gymnastics. I've learned this from a very young age, but it's amazing how such a basic exercise is perceived so differently outside of the gymnastics world. And this is why it's here in week 1, 30 to 60 seconds. Trying to hold a 60-second hold in this position is really quite tough. It really does make you work for the core, and you got to think of yourself, I'm going to start at the top of a push-up position. So I'm at the top of a push-up in a high plank position. The difference being is that I'm going to protract my shoulders. They're going to be nice and round. My shoulders are going to be over my wrist, and you need to have your hip tilt. So let's just go in and check out this video and see exactly what I'm talking about.
Front support hold. So what we're going to really concentrate on here is good posterior pelvic hip tilt, being nice and rotated with the hips, chest in, and arms at shoulder width with our shoulders being stacked over our hands. So off we go, Sammy. So hip tilt, okay, so hips are nice and tucked under, legs are strong, squeezing those quads, and her shoulders are over her wrist, and her shoulders are spread apart. All right, so we want to make sure you can roll some water and it goes down her spine. Lift your hips up, that's too high, and that's arched. Hips back down, rotate it underneath, squeezing every single muscle down there.
So you can see here, guys, that the shoulders are right over the wrist. Her shoulder blades are spread apart, so there's no gap, there's no retraction, what we call protraction. She's pushing tall. And this is really important when it comes to our handstand basics. If we can get this right from an early start, we're going to progress on to bigger and better stuff as we get going. So then you'll find the next point here is the hips. You can see that her body runs smoothly down in a straight line and there's no kink in the curve. What we have here is a posterior pelvic hip tilt. So her pelvis is tucked under, which is engaging this abdominal region. That's contracting right here in order to hold that position. If she was weak through here, there would start to be a bit of a divot. All right, there would be a bit of an arch, and it would be putting pressure on the lower back, but making it easy because you could, the stress will come through the shoulders and the knees. So the core is the center of mass. It's very important that we really strengthen this center of mass so that when you do progress onto other things, that you're learning to use your body as a whole unit.
Knees, using every single muscle.
Knees need to be locked out too, so sometimes I quite often see those knees are relaxed. And feet together. Let's start getting some body tension basics in line, making sure those feet are together, knees are strong, quads are activated, bum's tight, hips are tucked under, shoulders are pushing tight, elbows are locked out, and your fingers are pointing forward. So there's a lot of things going on here that if you can just get in that position and think of all those things, and you'll get better and better, but it will really start to transfer into a lot of other things you do. So a basic hold, but the point being, there's actually a lot going on that can really help strengthen you up over time. And holding that position for 60 seconds is going to challenge anyone and everyone, doesn't matter who you are, particularly after a couple of sets. So watch the video again and remind yourself of these very important cues as it relates to the front support. So then we go into weighted wall PPT. You've got 5 to 10 reps of this exercise. So let's open up the video. Okay, so what's really important here is that my feet are slightly away from the wall. They're not touching the wall. This gives me a chance for my lower back and my whole back to be completely straight to the wall. So as I push the weight up, there will be a tendency for this lower back to start to drift away from the wall. So I'm rotating the pelvis under, contracting my abdominal area, and my arms are dead straight. And it gets even tougher as I start to get higher because it starts to bring in this shoulder range of motion. So what will happen is you will have to force your lower back even more using your core into the wall in order to try and get this more and more open. So this is a great drill for handstands, and also we use it for planche because of the straight arm and the core positions. But once you get into this overhead, you'll notice that my back is completely flat. And from my experience with a lot of adults in classes and workshops, a lot of people, in order to get to this range of motion, will actually let their lower back drift away from the wall. So how do you fix that? We need to go back and do a lot of mobility work for the shoulders, and I do have some mobility flow videos within all the programs, and they'll also be as extras in the additional extras at the end of the course. So there's some appendix material there for you guys to look at some of that mobility flow, but they're all through the workouts. But the key here, back flat to the wall, feet slightly apart, and just working this position up and down with straight arms. Okay. One arm plank hold.
Single arm plank, obviously a step harder than the normal front support, but it's the getting into the position that requires a little bit of concentration. So what we're going to do is get one arm out in front of the knees, already start to get a nice rounded position before we take off, so we've got some stability for the core, and we're going to put our hand on that other elbow, and all we're going to do is keeping those shoulders still and the hips square to the floor. Let's lift up into a front support position and holding there. So we're really trying to concentrate about getting those hips tilted, all right, and just pushing up through that shoulder and maintaining a front support position in a single arm hold.
So guys, nothing changes from the front support position other than now you're going to be working even harder for your center of mass, that core, because you're having to load up more of one arm, and hence we've only got so much strength, so this core is going to work overload. The tendency will be for you to tilt your hips towards where I'm standing, okay, or towards that arm that's on the ground, so you're trying to tilt. So your goal is to try and make sure your hips are square. Both hips are facing the floor, not just one hip. Okay, straight arm weighted hollow hold to overhead sit-ups. Again, we're looking at the straight arm position here.
Weighted dish hold. So we've got a 5 kilo weight here to begin with, and we're going to hold that above our head, and we're going to lower down slowly, keeping these arms absolutely straight, and we're going to round our back, each vertebrae going down to the floor, lift the feet up into a hollow position, hold there, so the weight is tilted at a 45-degree angle, and then we're going to push up fast, and feet back to the floor. One more time, lowering down, arms come in front, lower back flat, hold there, 1, 2, 3, and up, nice and strong. Good job.
So Sammy here has 5 kilos, although this could challenge you even further if it was 10 kilos, or maybe even a 15 kilo plate if you're quite strong in the core and your arms aren't bending. But if you find that your arms are bending, just stick to the 5 kilo, maybe, and just do that on the first set and see how you go. If you find that your hollow hold, you're only in a tuck and you're struggling, then this exercise here wouldn't even make sense to use weight. So you would need to just get rid of the weight, hold your hands. And then when it comes to planche lean hold, so what's happening here is we're going from basic to intermediate skill into a little bit more of a challenging position. So we're just sort of working our way through the various holds in order of progression as we go through, and these holds are sort of getting lower in time because of the difficulty and the technique required. Remember, if you get to these positions and you're finding them a struggle, then always go back to the front support hold. The good thing of the planche lean is that it's basically a front support. It's no different. However, the shoulders are going to be leaning over your hands, all right, and keeping that nice and straight through the arms and not changing the position. So you've got 2 options here. You can do the planche lean on the ground, or you can make it a little bit more challenging and elevate your feet up on a bench. So we're going to look at both of these videos and just take a little look at technique.
Planche lean, so we're going to start in a front support position, but we're going to push our shoulders slightly forward. But what is very important here is to make sure that all that's changing is the deviation of the shoulder. The shoulder's leaning, the body stays constant. Off we go. So front support position, and all we're going to do is lean.
So you can see here, when she got up into that position, her shoulders were directly over her hands. She knew exactly where that front support position was. You can't see her shoulder blades because they're protracted, and her hips are tilting. Now she's going to start leaning forward this way in that planche lean without changing the angle of her body. So she's not going to raise her hips. Now what I do see is as people go more and more forward to make it more difficult, the core can only take so much because it's weak, and the bicep brachialis joint isn't so strong, so it starts to bend and the bum goes up, and then we end up in a really awful and not so good position that's going to progress. So only lean as far forward as you can keep your hips down and keep your arms straight. This position takes time to build what we call some basic straight arm strength position, and it's great for building connective tissue in those joints in the elbows here and furthering our core strength.
Over our wrist, and you notice her hips hasn't changed height at all. She's rotated under, her shoulders should be spread apart, pushing up nice and tall here, good. Her arms are locked out. Very important you have straight arms in this position. This is a straight arm strength exercise.
Negative weighted wall PPT exercise. So it's similar to what we did up here, except what we're going to do now is, you'll notice there's only 2 to 3 reps, so it must be a little bit more challenging. We're going to start overhead, and we're going to lower the weight down to a horizontal position which mimics a planche, keeping arms straight, hold it there, and then lower back down. Let's have a look at technique with this straight arm accessory work exercise. So again, we're starting at the top here. Okay, back is completely flat, no arch or tunnel in the lower back, feet slightly out, arms are straight. And I'm holding here just a 10 kilo weight, which is fairly challenging. So make sure you guys are probably starting with a 5 kilo weight and progress yourself out 10 kilos and then kind of maxing around 15. I find if I go to a 20, I'm starting to compensate through my traps or slight bend of the arm. So it does make it a lot more challenging in that regard. So let's have a look. We're just lowering down nice and slowly. And then I get to this position there. I'm just going to pause it. So my arms are straight. Core is taking a lot of work here, a lot of load here because of the disadvantaged position I'm in right here. All right, this wants to kind of, in order to keep my arms straight, I've got to really use this core and to push that back flat to the wall. I'm going to hold it there for 10 seconds, build up a lot of strength, and then just lower it back down and start again. You're going to do 2 to 3 rounds of this workout and just see how you go. So a couple of new exercises there for some of you, but really it all comes down to these holds: the front support hold, the one arm plank hold, and the planche lean hold. Just make sure that you guys really remind yourself of those couple of important cues with regards to shoulders, locked out arms, and posterior pelvic hip tilt. They're just 3 that just want to keep reinforcing, because as we progress on, that needs to become second nature, and that's going to help you over 10 weeks to be really showing a difference in some of the gymnastics capacity that you can deliver in your workouts. Now, the finisher. I always like to do a little finisher just to give you a little bit of burn, and these will change throughout all the other weeks, but we're just going to start very basic here. Complete 5 rounds of 2 isometric holds, being a ring row hold and a weighted hanging tuck sit hold. Now with the ring row hold, a lot of you will know what ring rows are. So basically you're going to set up a pair of rings, and they might be at the height, usually the height of your waist, and you can either make it easier by putting your feet on the ground, and if you find that you're sort of kipping or piking and not really keeping your body nice and straight, then I want you to walk the rings back. Okay, but if you're someone really strong, get your feet up, always get your feet up on a bench and do them elevated. All right, and pull for your lats and hold. But we're just holding here, so there's no video. We're just holding a ring row hold. So just get your feet up on a bench and hold it 20 to 25 seconds. You're going to really find that challenging. So if you do start on the bench for the earlier times, then you can regress to the floor rather on those later holds if you find that your bum starts dropping, or you start, your rings aren't on the chest. So just make sure you try and keep those rings right on the chest and pull yourself down, pulling for those lats and making sure your body is really nice and straight when you do that position hold. So you're going to couple that hold with a weighted hanging tuck sit hold, and we're just building basic toes to bar strength here with getting those hip flexors and quads a bit of a burn and putting them under pressure. So let's just have a look at what this exercise is.
Hanging tuck hold, but we're going to put the dumbbell between your feet. Now, if you struggle, let's have a look what that looks like. So bring your knees up. You're going to put that between your feet, so you could easily lift that up by yourself. If you struggle to maintain that horizontal position, if anything, we want those knees to come even higher to make it harder. But if you struggle to maintain that knee tuck, then just drop the weight and hold it without it. But it's just going to put those hip flexors under more stress and work harder, and they'll get stronger. Help you for hanging legless and toes to bar.
Usually I get some more advanced people to kind of put more weight, anywhere from 2 to 6 kilos. I mean, if you had a 5 kilo dumbbell, that starts to really pull on those quads and hip flexors and make you really work hard. 25 seconds is a long time. So see how you go. If you find those knees are dropping past the horizontal, then get rid of the dumbbell and go again. This is also going to really help you, both these exercises, build your grip strength. So building grip strength is really important for later on when we start developing more pull-up strength and various other things, or you want to progress on to things that are going to use up more forearm and grip capacity. So holds are great for building up connective tissue strength and joints, for building up endurance in the grip strength and particular muscle groups. So you're going to go from having lats, bicep and core getting smashed in this exercise to then smashing our core, hip flexors and quads, and then the grip strength in this exercise. So you'll start with a 5-second hold, then go straight to a 25-second weighted hanging tuck sit. Then you'll do a 10-second ring row hold, and then straight into a 20-second weighted hanging tuck sit hold, and you just go down until you finish with a 25-second ring row hold and finish with a 5-second weighted hanging tuck sit hold. So 2 very basic positions, but I tell you what, every time I do this ring row hold and this weighted tuck sit hold, it certainly challenges everyone. You can always add weight on them, add weight vest, do them all over again, and limit the rest to challenge yourself even more here. Okay, and that's it in terms of the workout. So get through it and see how you go, and let me know how you go. I'd be very interested to see how everyone progresses. And you've got the session notes here as well, so you can go down through these session notes, and just like I've reiterated through each exercise, it's just reminding you the key cues for everything. So if you guys need any additional help, please email me on my email address, ben@handspringgymnastics.com.au. And if you're one of the many that purchased this program, this course, in the promotional period where you got a discount and also got access to the Facebook group, here's the link for the Facebook group. So you guys get the advantage of going on to the Facebook group and just uploading or posting your comments and feedback, and also what you need help with. You know, you might put up a video that says, does this look right, and I can come in and just help yourself, but also it might benefit the many others that are on this course as well as it pertains to technique. So if you're one of those, or if you would like access to the group page and get access to that free online coaching component, then please email me as well, so I could either add you in there, upgrade your package, or let you know how to go about it. Also, one other point, guys, is with this workout, try to complete it at least 2 times. So if you got time for once, that's great. If you can get it another time, that's awesome. And if you could do it 3 times, Monday, Wednesday, Friday perhaps, that is going to really help strengthen you up and get you ahead. Once a week's great. I mean, if you're an athlete that is doing a lot of other activity like CrossFit, for example, or you got your other programs, then 1 session is probably going to be enough, because you don't want to overdo it and make yourself tired. But if you do have the capacity to get it done a second time, and you're someone that struggles with this sort of stuff, or your gymnastics capacity could be a lot better, then I really recommend you doing it 2 to 3 times, even if you have to cut down some of the other activity base that you do in order just to focus on this gymnastic strength for the next 10 weeks, just to really make a difference. You've got to put in that effort initially now, be consistent and maintain it, and you will see the results. You know, it is going to take a good 2 to 3 months for you to actually notice some improvement come in, and this is why you're here. You're here on the course to get that improvement and have some reassurance with the programming and the choices of exercises and how we group them, how I come up with the rep scheme, and just some different ways of doing it, but also adding in that real added value of all the video tutorials and the coaching and just helping you with it, because gymnastics is challenging in the context that you need someone to be there to really make sure that you're doing the right technique. Now, if you can't come to a class and you don't have myself or someone else there doing it, the next best thing is to come into an online program like this one, and at least I might not be there in person, but you can look at all the video tutorials. You can be part of a Facebook group where you can get access to some coaching to allow me to give you some pointers and some help with the exercises that you're doing. And this will be exactly the same with all the additional programs and courses that I'm going to bring out over the next couple of years. So currently working on all sorts of different programs from here on in. The next program will be the intermediate gymnastic strength and conditioning program, but also I'm really looking forward to bringing out the kipping ring muscle up program course, and the handstand course. The beginner handstand course is going to be awesome. Going to be lots of follow along sessions, drills, technique, and just breaking down technique like I am here, but lots of additional material. So really exciting times ahead, but this is a really great way for you guys to start. Just start with the basics, get strong, build yourself up, and then you can really sort of tackle these extra programs, be in a good position and be at an advantage versus people that want to just get the end product in a hurry. I know we're all in a hurry sometimes, but we've just got to spend that bit of time doing the basics correct. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next session. Well done.